And Gregory, it's the place to be, off the top of dome, cause you know it's the Gregory Nesmith Show, and we keep it live, and you keep it live, cause we on the block, and we keep it live, but we not 9 to 5, but we on the job, and you know that we gon' take it all to the top.
Is my turn to jump in?
Your turn, so jump in.
Welcome back. I like that the beat dropped. Did you start a new company? Grandpa. Where you at? Shout to the underdogs. Don't get nervous. Don't get no fun in your throat. What I wrote, how I talk, when I speak. We gonna sit back into this episode. Are you kidding me? I'm not kidding you. Are you kidding me? This is what we do.
Just having some fun up in the studio today.
Yes, that's the most nervous I've ever been on the radio ever in my life. I'm sure on the other side of fear, there is something good that just happened just now.
Worst thing that could possibly happen is that you mess up and make a mistake. And I did that and wasn't that bad.
That is true. The worst
all freestyling.
That is very true. Underdogs, lean in out there. Actually, that was awesome. Mm-hmm. Because I have never in my 3 years of being on the radio, I've never ever freestyle ever at all.
And how you feeling? How you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good.
You feeling good, right?
Yeah, it's good to lean in.
You freestyling and styling free.
Yeah, underdogs out there. What's something you've been dying to do? Just do it today.
Just do it today.
It's all right.
These are things that my break from work taught me.
That is
being away for 2 weeks. I feel like I'm a new woman.
And so. See, now I want to ask you about where were you?
Oh, we talk about that. I mean, I was out in California, Venice Beach, actually, to be exact, and it's just such a free-spirited place out there. And I really met some really interesting people, just randomly. You just talk to people. I got to hear some really interesting stories, got to spend time with my family. For the last couple days I was out there, my dad came out, my little sister came out, my aunt and my uncle lived there. I got the chance to just really be surrounded by love and people that love me and care about me, and also want to see me succeed, and also me being out there and having the freedom to really focus on what I want to focus on and spend, pretty much the same amount of time that you spend at work focusing on my own dreams and my own goals, and seeing how much can come out of focusing your energy on that, even for a finite, concentrated period of time. And I would highly, highly recommend people saying that, before the break we were talking about phrases that people say. And so when you hear the phrase like, I can't take a vacation, or I can't get the time off work, or I can't, everything's so busy, like I can't, like I could never just like leave for 2 weeks. You know what? You can. Because if you were to get sick, or if something was to happen to a family member, you would dip out in 2 weeks. And you know what? When you came back to work, everything would still be moving because the company is bigger than you, right? And so being able to take a step back and realize that saying those things are actually counterproductive and self-centered. For you to think that you're that, big of an issue that you can't even take time for yourself to improve and better yourself, then that's not a good look. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. It's not selfish.
No, it's self-care. And a couple things you said there. One is, in terms of a word that I believe we should retire from the English language, busy.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm too busy, or I've been busy doing this. But have you been taking care of yourself? Are you actively pursuing the things that like light you up instead of the things that like take energy away from you? Also, growing up, I do remember being told to not run myself into the ground.
Right.
to take breaks.
Those are good ones.
And somehow we become adults and we're like, you got to keep going. You got to keep grinding. No rest for the weary. What happened to, I was supposed to not run myself into the ground. I'm supposed to like take naps. I'm supposed to like enjoy the weekend.
Even remember when we were in school, we had recess.
Talk to me about it.
And that ended in college. Like no more thing as recess.
And in a way you took or we had things like spring break, winter break, summer break, because we're not meant to keep going. So I do have a question though. And I think this will be probably helpful for people because they're probably there right now potentially, which is what stopped you from doing it sooner? And not as a make wrong, just like what was like some of the things that just got in your way that you eventually got out of the way?
Exactly what I was saying before, just that feeling that I couldn't leave, that feeling that things would fall apart if I was gone, that feeling of, impending dread or doom that if I do that, or even for me to have a productive or impactful vacation, I would have to spend a crazy amount of money. That's also, and so it's like, oh, well, I don't also have the money. It doesn't. I literally just got a cheap plane ticket on Virgin Airlines to California, and I have family there, and I just stayed with them,
I love it.
It was like, why am I going to try to save up for this, because I was like, oh, I want to go to a resort, I want to go to a beach, and I'm like, you know what, I can't afford that, so then I just wouldn't go, and I was like, I came to a point, I was like, I have to go. I have to just get to somewhere, and it doesn't have to be elaborate. Taking a break can just be a break from the everyday.
I love it. Now, while you took your break, what are one or two things that you did while you were out there?
I spent a lot of time just soaking in the sun, and vitamin D for people of color is extremely important. We should be taking vitamin D supplements. It makes a humongous difference to your health, to sort of be absorbing the sun. I did a lot of writing. So for my comedy stuff, I will be starting to perform stand-up next week. I finished my set. I did it on the beach in front of strangers. So now I'm ready to do it in a club in front of people. So that's happening. I started, Gregory mentioned in his freestyle, my brand pop marketing.
You see how I did that?
Yeah, that was nice. I appreciate the plug. So I started my company, designed my logo, got my website together. Again, these are all things that I've wanted to do that I told myself that I didn't have the time to do.
Yeah. And lastly, how do you now feel?
I feel fantastic. I feel so free. I feel so free that I could just freestyle all day.
Yeah, so I want to mention that too, which is your energy is different.
Yeah, I feel different.
There's a peace or calmness about you.
Yeah.
Like as if you're moving with urgency, but it's almost as if you're like moving at your own pace at the same time.
Exactly. Like I feel at peace because I know that I have what it takes. Yeah. And that feeling of certainty is like, I already know, like being out there and seeing and experiencing and just experiencing love and understanding that it's like, you know what, like I feel like I'm a special human being and I should be proud of who I am and be confident.
Well, you know that can't nobody do it
like you do it.
Nobody.
And speaking of phrases, we have some Facebook comments. We had asked people for some phrases that they wanted to, that they've heard in the past and that they think that we should maybe unlearn, right?
Very cool. And just as a heads up, we also are going to talk about some phrases that we learned as kids that got us shook too. And we'll get into that later. What's going on from the Underdogs on the Facebook Live?
So Tavion had a really good one. He says one of the phrases that he used to hear a lot as a kid was, "Why is the sky blue?" So essentially that's a phrase that parents often use when a kid asks a question that they may not know the answer to. And so they act like, why is the sky blue, is some question that's like nebulous, that of course there's no real answer for that. But of course, when
parents be tricky.
right. But of course, when you grow up and you can actually look it up, there's a very sort of clear, articulate reason for why the sky's blue, right? Which is basically what Tavion's saying. Like for people that don't know, the sky's blue because it reflects off the water, and that's why the sky's blue.
Oh, thank you, because I was about to.
Oh.
I never Googled. I literally was like, well, I'm gonna have to Google that during a break.
Because it reflects off the water, and so that's why the sky's blue. But it's a very simple explanation, right? And so Tavion's saying, he was a very curious kid, and his parents and teachers would respond with that phrase, and it really makes him mad seeing that one, because there is a reason.
Yeah.
And it's so simple. And it's like, if you don't know, say you don't know. Don't let your ego get in the way of saying, I don't know. Or actually, a better answer can be, I don't know, but let's find out together. And that's what you should be telling. That's what he tells his customers at work. And that's what he says he's going to tell his future kids. That's
beautiful, because there's a lot of ego that oftentimes we carry around with ourselves. And, I'm not smart enough, or I don't know all the answers. It's sometimes one that we all may feel at different points in time. And there, to your point about being at peace and being free, there's nothing like saying, you know what? I don't know the answer to that. Mm-hmm. But I'm up for, as Tavion said, go find it out. Or, hey, I haven't looked into that topic that much yet.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
Exactly.
I was about to tell you, like, Asha, why is the sky blue? I was going to ask folks, because I actually don't know the specific answer to that.
That's why I care about climate change, and you're less abreast to the, sorry. I'm the science one here. You're the business guy.
The views expressed by Asha Davis.
Tavion also said there are no mistakes, only opportunities to learn. And that's a good one. That's not one we want to unlearn. That's one we want to keep.
That's one we want to definitely keep. It would have made me look at life and some mistakes a whole lot differently.
Exactly. And it also removes the fear, because it removes the fear of making a mistake, because even if you do, it's an opportunity to learn.
Yeah, it's an opportunity like, oh, I can freestyle.
Uh-oh.
Well, or at least I can attempt to freestyle.
You good, boo. You even plug my business. You nice.
The businessman, I mean, like, we got to make sure we mention, brand pop.
Because why? Because you want to do business with friends and family. Keep it in the circle.
That's what I'm saying.
In stand-up, we call that a callback.
Oh, what do you mean?
When you talk about something when you re-reference something, it's called a callback.
Oh, you know what? It's interesting you say that, because I like watching a lot of stand-up. And I think one of the things I always marvel at, and I didn't know the technical term for it, is when a comic's able to like bring something back from earlier into later in the show or in the skit or in the storytelling. And it's like, damn, that's good stuff.
Yeah. But you know what we haven't talked about yet?
What?
The Un of the Week.
The Un of the Week. What was the Un of the Week?
Well, we were just reading our Facebook comments, and I think it's a nice segue to get into the Un of the Week, which involves Facebook. So for those who have not necessarily been paying too much attention to what's been going on with the Russia investigations, essentially in the latest developments in the Russia investigations, it's been found out and confirmed that Russian hackers actually used Facebook, or Russian intelligence used Facebook to purchase ads that were specifically targeted to groups in the United States. And this wasn't just one or two or three. We're talking tens and tens of thousands of ads that were created and targeted. And so initially, Facebook had denied that this had been happening. They denied that the platform had any impact on the election whatsoever. And then just this week, our good friend Mark Zuckerberg came out and actually said, I made those comments and I regret them. Absolutely, what was done had an impact on the election. Had an impact in swaying people's opinion of who to vote for. So right now, the special investigation on Russia is in the process of obtaining every single ad that Russian intelligence purchased on Facebook during that time. And so now publicly, some of that content is starting to come out. So the first one that came out was that that the Russian teams had actually created Facebook ads that were featuring the Black Lives Matter movement. And some of the imagery was actually was specifically selected to incite divisiveness. So, they're pulling specific images that are depicting violence, or they're picking certain images that are showing Black male white police officer in a combative fashion. And they were specifically targeting these people in Ferguson as well as in Baltimore, specifically to create that division. That's extremely scary for a number of different reasons. For me, I find it even more scary. For those who don't know, I work in advertising, I work in marketing, I am a social media strategist. So I know all of the advanced targeting capabilities that Facebook has.
Yeah.
Facebook knows more than just, what city you live in. They know your ethnicity. They know your age. They compile information based on your Facebook posts so that they can determine whether or not you're likely to be a Democrat or a Republican. And advertisers like me, or like small businesses like the Russian intelligence folks, have the ability to purchase ads, determine how many people we want to target them to, and target them to those specific people. And so as long as you have the money, you'll be able to do this. And so it's extremely terrifying. It's extremely, obviously personal for people of color that our issues, our movements would be used in such a way. And when you think about that, it's not surprising why there's so much backlash and uproar and divisiveness that's being caused by the NFL protests, right? Because if we had lies, propaganda, basically, from another country, that their sole sort of mission in life of Russia, if you remember, their arch nemesis is America. You know what I mean? And so if they're using the movement of Black Lives Matter, if you remember, Black Lives Matter is now listed in the FBI as a terrorist group. So those ads, I can only imagine what the copy says. They haven't really released like the specifics of what the words were. You could imagine how they would be playing up that type of thing, And so I think us as people of color, we need to dig deep, look beyond, these issues. Like the last point on this is, this is going to continue to be something that we continue to talk about. But again, as we think about, quote unquote, what happened. I know that Hillary, that Gregory is not a huge fan of Hillary, but it's also now come out that in those last few weeks of the election, I don't know if you guys remember that some of those really crazy, outrageous lies that were being spread, like she has a pedophile ring in a pizza parlor and like craziness like that. So those types of ads, that type of content was specifically developed and created and targeted specifically in those swing states, specifically to those communities, to encourage them to be mobilized and go out and vote for Mr. Donald Trump. And so it's in those states where there was a systematic sort of plan of attack through gerrymandering to make it as difficult as possible for people of color and to vote. And then add on top of it that those communities that would have a propensity to support Trump were being influenced even more through lies from Facebook, the #1 website in the world besides Google, that people check more often than they check up on their own kids. You know what I mean? I think that it would be remiss to not sort of see the connectivity within these things. That's my rant.
And that is definitely an honor of the week, because I wasn't expecting Russia to be pushing Black Lives Matters as part of their attempt to be illegally involved in our election process.
Exactly.
And I think it's also an instructive point of sometimes you learn from others. They could have picked a lot of things to sway people or divide us. Hopefully people are paying attention to that they picked the issue of race. And maybe it means we might want to take a look at how it is dividing us and actually address it so that others can't come for us.
And that's really a good point. And I saw a great quote the other day that said, racism is so much a part of America. Racism is so much a part of America that when people protest racism, they think that they're protesting America.
Speak on it. We're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, some other phrases that we've learned when we were growing up. When we were kids.
We'll take it a little bit back up a notch.
Yes. And then we'll also finish with some uninhibited Q&A. And you can always jump in with a phone call at 212-650-6903. Or, as you've been doing throughout the show, comment on Facebook Live at facebook.com/Gregory Nesmith. More of the show. And let's get personal about the news and the culture after this. You didn't freestyle this time. I guess
I was dancing. I was grinding on my seat.
Well, hey, it's Sunday.
So, Jesus needs love. Jesus believes in love.
He does. Like I found some new music. Like, see, while you're going, I was digging in the crates.
Let's ride the beat. It's so sweet. Not in my seat. Just to the beat. We keep it neat. No ice. I'm nice with it. Eat rice with it.
OJ gotta quit it. He's free today, actually. I've been dying to say that all show somewhere.
Yeah, OJ's out. OJ's out. Maybe. OJ is out. Okay. We done. You know that OJ's out now.
And I didn't want to talk about OJ, but I just had to.
I mean, he's out now, though. He's out of jail. He's going to be. I actually heard that, because you know that him and Trump were friends, right?
I saw a friend post a picture of OJ and Trump together as their profile picture for today.
Exactly. They are. Maybe he might get the Health and Human Services Secretary job. He might get Tom Price's job.
He might. I think we have a caller.
We have a caller?
A name and where you calling from?
I'm glad he's out. He did his time. It's over. First time, what did he do? He got lawyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They always tell you don't take the law into your own hands. He got a lawyer, lawyers. They found him not guilty. Second time, did something really stupid. He went to jail. He did his time. And now people still want to jump on him. There are people who have done things with children, and they're over in Europe. Okay? Mm-hmm. Nobody says anything about that. People over here make movies like Mr. Woody Allen, and everybody just genuflects to him. Oh, it's such an honor to work in a movie. And he doesn't even have black people in the backdrop of his own films in New York City. So, you know, he's done a lot of nasty things. So, you know, like, let OJ, you know, he followed the law.
Hey, I imagine.
He followed the law. He didn't go out, and he didn't kill anybody as far as you know. Prove it. That's what you have lawyers for. If the shoe on the other foot and Johnny Cochran were on the other side, they would have given them a ticker tape parade. So, I mean, you know, what are you going to do?
Hey, I totally get it, Deborah, and you're right. He did his time. He's out. And
right. When the kids screamed and hollered and cheered and people thought it was so terrible, they had to be taken to their beds. Oh, please, give me a break. If people had justice, they would not be jumping up and down like that. It would be something that people would be used to. But that's what happens when you don't give people justice.
You're right. We latch on to wherever we can feel like we got something working out in a way where a criminal justice system that for historically hasn't worked out in ways that we feel are just for people of color.
And what's also really important to note is that as long ago as the OJ trial was, if we remember, that was in the midst of the LA riots and after the Rodney King beatings. And if we remember, the same exact injustices that we're still fighting over 20 years later are still happening.
Yeah.
Still doing it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you know, anyway, I like to rant about the Facebook. You know, very interesting.
Yep.
No, thank you, Deborah. As always,
guys, have a good day.
Hey, you too.
Thank
have a good
you.
Sunday. See you next week.
Okay.
Bye. Cool. Shout out to Deborah from Manhattan.
Shout out to Deborah, a loyal listener.
Yes, and we appreciate her.
Mm-hmm, so much.
And very good points. It's when things, and I'm so glad you reminded me of this, when things have been historically like stacked against you, we oftentimes get the most unlikely symbols or examples or things that happen where we just feel like, oh, now you see how it feels, or now finally something seems like it's going in our favor, even if the person in the middle of the story isn't perfect.
Exactly.
So, no, I get it. Shout out to Deborah for calling in. Whoa, it's 2 hours is
flew by. We have 5 minutes left.
We
got so much to do in 5 minutes.
We do, man.
You tell me where we're going.
I do want to quickly at least mention, I think, or I could save this for next week. Mm-hmm. I mean, those things are classic. Mm-hmm. And we can save it for next week as one of our culture stories.
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be a way to weave that in. So I will save some of those childhood phrases for maybe another time, or should I mention them?
I think you should mention a couple of them.
Why
not? You already wasted 35 seconds, so.
There's no mistakes.
Only opportunities to learn, so talk faster.
I was reading an article by one of my favorite websites, Very Smart Brothers.
Oh, why? Because it's reflective of you, right?
Hey, you know, there's things you see in the mirror and there's things you look out the window, as so to speak, when it comes to arts and entertainment. They're an example of me, like, seeing people like me doing stuff, creating stuff, and I love it.
Gregory Nesmith is a very smart brother.com.
Thank you. That might be my new website. I have, Brand Pop help me with. and they had an article talking about threatening black phrases ranked. Mm-hmm. Like when somebody says one of these phrases to you, you're like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. And they had 10 of them, but I want to read like 3 of them, and then I'll relate it to today's topic. So they had as their 5th ranked one, when someone goes, on my mama.
If somebody's saying something on their mama, you just better take 3 steps back.
They call that one threat level high.
Of course. Because mama's the highest. Like, if I'm going to put something on mama, like.
Put that on my mama. And then they had 10 of them, but their number 4th ranked one was what you not gonna do. What you not going, not what you not gonna do.
What you not gonna do is what you about to do right now. I'm gonna stop you right there.
And they say the threat level on that is immediate.
Intermediate?
Immediate. Like if someone says that, it's immediate.
Okay. So that means
that means if your threat level, someone says that to you, something about to go down like right now.
So that's high, and that's different than high?
Yeah.
Okay.
High just means like you should be on alert. Okay. Immediate means like immediately something might go down.
Okay.
And then what they ranked as number 1 was, you don't know me.
Ouch. That, you know what that really means? You don't know me? That means what you think you saw. This nice person that I've been cordially acting as in front of you, you just did something that's gonna show you the other side.
And they call that threat level run.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it means that in that moment, that person's about to show you clearly something that you thought wasn't, you thought you misunderstood, or you thought maybe they were like real chill, and like, no, you about to really know me.
Yeah.
Right now, so you better run. And that got me to thinking about phrases that I heard growing up that I felt like, yo, I got real nervous, real shook.
You better say them quick, because we still got to do uninhibited.
I know, so I'm going to say them quick. I have 3 of them. One of them was when you hear, wait till your daddy get home.
Uh-oh. Well, I mean, if your daddy's coming home. Not everybody heard that one, boo.
That's fair. That's why that's why I started with that one.
Not everybody, that was not as.
All right, another one. If I have to come down there.
Again. That you're showing off the fact that you lived in a home that was not an apartment. Gregory, you gotta be more.
Hold on. But I put like wherever there is though.
If I gotta come down there, there's no people that grow up in apartments.
No, if I gotta come down to that school again, if I gotta come down, it's figurative. All right. So now,
you know she was yelling that from upstairs. That's all I'm saying.
So then you're going to get on this next one because you were like, well, people on the subway. Okay. The next one was, wait till we get in the car.
You had a car. So you had you had a daddy, a 2-level home, and a car. Okay. All right. Go ahead now.
All right. And last but not least, when a parent or an adult would say to you, yo, go get my belt.
I've never heard that. No one's ever beat me with a belt. I'm glad.
Yeah, I remember one time they sent me to go get the belt, and I literally went and I went and hid in the closet.
That's child abuse. Like, people get reported for that now. Like, that's actually illegal.
And we've evolved now, but it's different times. I'm a little older.
Okay, well, speaking of evolving, we're gonna go right to uninhibited because we've got 2 minutes left in the show.
We are.
So my uninhibited question for today is: this is gonna be a quick one. We're talking about, are you kidding me? When you were a kid, what I would like to know is, what was the name of your the first ever girl, or either the name or the situation in which you had your first ever kiss with a girl? And how old were you?
I want to say like early teen years, let's say 12 or so maybe.
Okay. So grade 8.
Yes. And name, just because I don't even know if they're listening or who knows. So it started with an N.
Okay.
And I remember I met her in South Carolina while I was visiting my grandparents.
Uh-huh.
And this is like, we kissed, and like, you'd have thought that I fell in like deep love. Like, I want to marry this woman, all this stuff. And this young lady. And back then, there was no email and texting. Mm-hmm. I would write her letters for like the next couple months.
Oh, wow. Like pen pal?
Like literally
written letters?
Yeah, because we didn't have like cell phones and things like that.
Wow.
So literally, I remember writing, and the first initial was with the N. And over the course of like that remaining fall and winter, like being so smitten by her and like literally writing her letters.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, thank you. That was a lovely answer.
Yes. So we have come to the end of the show, and we appreciate you. So thank you for all the listeners. Thank you for everybody who tuned in online over the airwaves and also on Facebook Live. Shout out to Asha for being back in the building.
Yeah.
We got the next show coming up. I think it's Solar Harlem might be in the building, or at least that's what it looks like. So something might have been new with the programming, but I love seeing the brother in the building. Okay, so Sports Talk is coming up at 3. And for anybody who missed today's show, the podcast will be available tomorrow on iTunes, Podomatic, Google Play. Thank you for making us a top 100 podcast in society and culture on Podomatic. And I leave you with my favorite quote, as always. Underdogs, can't nobody do it like you do it. Nobody. Peace.